Vancouver's at the border of Washington. So you just go across the bridge back and forth.
Okay.
So yeah, so you've got Washington, that's a no state tax, and then you've got Oregon, that's no sales tax.
Right. Yeah, so my sister-in-law just purchased a house and just closed escrow a couple months ago in Medford, Oregon.
Oh yeah, I used to live in Roseburg.
Yes, yeah, beautiful property on half an acre. It's all,
you can get beautiful stuff up there. Yeah. Yeah, when you buy a car and it's $3,900, $39,900, it's $39,900.
I know. Yeah, it's no sales tax. If you buy something for $9.99, guess how much you pay? $9.99.
$9.99.
Awesome.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start it here. All right. So let me see if I can get everyone in here.
All of us. Yeah. I'm on the other side.
Yeah, I like that. Just a little reverse. All right, perfect. All right. So. Congratulations, it's 2018, all right?
Off to a good start.
Off to a good start. It's 2018, yes, it's 2018. New year, new you, new goals. Now what, right? It's 2018, now what, right? So, thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Qierre McGlory. I am the host. I have today our special guest, Kathryn Tapie.
Hi. Kathryn Tapie with Pacific West Credit, and I've got a licensed credit repair company.
Yes, and
which I'll explain.
Great. And also my co-host, of course, you guys know him, my business partner, my lender, Mr. Moneyman himself, Axia Home Loans sales manager, Wesley Olivery.
Happy New Year.
Now, being that it's January, being that's the beginning of the year, whether you're looking to purchase a home this year, you're looking to purchase investment property this year, you're looking to maybe start a business this year, what you should always do at the beginning of the year is find out what your credit score is. Look up your credit. You know why? Because if you can find out what your credit score is, or if you have any issues now, you have time to get that done this year. Wes and I, as well as Kathryn, sometimes we run into clients later in the year, and it's like, okay, we want to start a business, or we want to buy a house, and it's like October. It's like, okay, have you ran your credit? You know what your credit history is? No. Okay, then you run their credit, and all of a sudden, you find out their score is low, or they have some items that they have to take care of. And unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen. A lot of that credit history doesn't resolve overnight.
No,
right, Kathryn?
Right. It does not resolve overnight.
Right, so it can take time. It can take 8 weeks, it can take 8 months, it can take 16 months or longer.
Yeah.
So that can take you into the next year or the following year. So you definitely want to get started now. And I'm going to pass it off to Kathryn to start and talk about, just the general questions that most people have when it comes to credit, whether what is credit, how do you get credit, what's a good credit score, how does it affect you with your student loans, and so forth.
Yep. So, like I said, I've got a licensed credit repair company, and what that means is we are actually licensed under the Department of Justice in the state of California. So only 25% of credit repair companies are licensed, which it's really important because there's some not so reliable credit repair companies out there that actually will take advantage of people. So what is credit? Credit is your worthiness in the buying industry, whether you're buying a house or a car or trying to get a credit card or a student loan or whatever you're doing. It's your worthiness on how you take care of your money. So credit scores are determined by a number of different factors. And what happens is they take those factors in and they give you a 3-digit score. So depending on how you pay your credit cards, how you pay your house payment, your car payment, if you have any lates, all determines what your credit score is. And it's so important to have good credit because without it, you're paying too much in interest. You can get turned down for loans, and it just affects your whole world basically. I mean, to me, it affects your whole world. I've got a 18-year-old daughter, and she forever thought what we did was the most boring thing she'd ever heard of in her life until we went to get her a car. And because we have good credit and we could get her this cute little car so she could run back and forth to school and volleyball and everything else she needed to do, she didn't really understand what it meant. So I've also, in the process of getting her that car, realized that I need to start, it's always good to start building your credit, I actually started helping her to build her credit. One way, as a parent or even as a spouse married to somebody that doesn't have credit or what have you, is one simple way to start establishing credit is to become an authorized user.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know that. That if you want to start developing a credit score, because there's a lot of people that don't have a score. They don't have a score because they don't have credit.
Now, when I was younger, I was actually taught that, you know, credit's like the last thing you should do.
Yeah.
Like if you have money, you pay with cash.
Yeah.
The only time you should use a credit card is if you're stranded on the road, you have no money in your wallet, there's no ATM anywhere, and it's like the only thing you can use is credit. That's what I was taught when I was younger.
Yep.
You know, and as I grew up, you know, started reading business books, went to college, started taking business courses, I learned that credit isn't this bad thing that you don't use. It can actually be something that's very beneficial, and that a lot of people that are well established in this country use credit.
Yeah, it actually is just like you said. There's a lot of people that they'll get ready to talk to Wesley to buy a house, and they hardly have any credit because they don't use their credit. They pay for cash for everything, and what that does is it doesn't give any indication of how they take care of their money. So when you're going to buy a house or a car, the person that you're borrowing the money from, they don't know if you make payments on time. They don't know that you have, a plethora of money in the bank that you just pay cash for everything. Right. So, and it also affects how much you pay for something. So if whether it's a house or it's really bad with cars, your interest rate is determined on your credit worthiness. So if you have damaged credit or you have a lower credit score, you're going to pay more in interest on your house than if you have a higher credit score. You're going to get the best rate. Yeah. Some of the things that people ask us a lot is if they have collections on how they begin to start the process of cleaning up their credit. And one of the biggest things is if they have collections on their credit report, how do they get rid of them? Like I said, with an authorized user, if you want to start establishing, increasing your score by using your credit card, I hate to say it, but using a credit card actually is 35% of your credit score. It's a big chunk
huge.
of your credit score. Yes, but there is a specific algorithm that the credit card companies like you to stay within. So, say you have a credit card that's $1,000 limit.
Okay.
The credit card companies don't want you to charge more than 70%, so $700.
Oh, okay.
They don't like to see that whole $1,000 used up. Credit card company wants to see you charge the $1,000 because they're charging you, 25% interest.
Oh, yes.
And the credit bureaus only like to see a running balance month to month of 30% or less, 35% if you want to stretch it, and that's to maximize the highest score. If you pay your credit cards off every month, which is good, I mean, a lot of people do that, there's no pattern of payment.
Oh.
Because it's being paid off.
Okay.
So if somebody's trying to get their credit built up to, buy a home or something, we'll tell them, pay your credit card down, but leave $5 on it. It just needs something that's going to actually register with the credit bureaus each month. And then if you want to use your credit card again, so using that $1,000 algorithm, you don't want to keep more than $300 to $350 at any given time on that credit card, and don't charge more than 70%.
Okay. Now going back to the authorized user, is there like a certain age the person needs to be in order to become an authorized user?
My daughter, I put her on when she was 16. I put her on one of my credit cards when she was 16. Okay. Now, an interesting question that came up with one of our clients the other day, he's an authorized user on a credit card with his dad, and his dad is ill right now. And so he said, because I'm an authorized user, if my dad passes away, am I going to be responsible for the debt? So you're actually not responsible for the debt as an authorized user.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Also, as an authorized user, you don't necessarily even have to have a credit card. All you have to be is a name on the account. Right. So if somebody's nervous about putting you on the account because they're afraid you're going to charge something,
right?
You don't have to give them a credit card. They just have to be, their name just has to be on there.
Okay, so you actually don't get a physical card, or I mean, I guess you
not
could,
necessarily. You could,
yes. You don't need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you're a co-signer on a credit card, meaning a husband and wife, or a couple that gets a credit card together that may not be married, as long as you're both signing on it and something happens to the other person, you are responsible for that debt.
Right.
Because in the state of California, you're both on that account.
So question, so like you said with the husband and wife, so, you know, let's say we get a credit card, right? So I guess what's the benefit of both people being on the credit card as opposed to maybe the husband being the main person on there and having the wife authorized user, or the wife being on there and having the wife authorized user? Like, what's...
There's really no benefit either way.
Okay, because I see, for me, I would see a benefit just being authorized user just because you're not going to be responsible for it. So I would go that kind of route, like, hey, as opposed to husband and wife both putting their name on the credit card, just have one of them as the primary and have one as authorized user.
Yes. Now, if, for instance, if I have the credit card and I put you as an authorized user because I want to help you out, you're my friend, and I start charging too much and I miss a payment, that's going to go on your credit.
Oh, geez. Okay. So you really have to be careful.
You have to be very careful.
Going to be an authorized user.
Yes. If you're going to pick somebody to be an authorized user with to help you out with your credit, make sure that person pays their bills. You don't want to pick somebody that does not pay their bills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And also a question that comes up a lot is with collections. If there is a collection on a credit report. So just to take a little step back, 76% of credit reports have errors on them, which is a phenomenal number. Like if you wrote a contract to purchase a home, or you wrote a contract to buy a home, or to get, loan someone money, and you made a mistake 76% of the time.
Right. Out of every 4, you're making a mistake on 3 of them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of moving parts that go into credit because you've got the creditors, the furnishers of the debt, you've got the credit bureaus, and between them, information gets mixed up because it's all data driven. Then it gets turned over to a collection company, and all of a sudden the collection company is now a third party that's involved in it. So the data gets even more corrupt on a credit report. So when we're working with clients, we explain to them what we do is we get a credit report, we analyze it, which is free. Just so you know, if somebody wants to analyze your credit report, they cannot charge you for that. It is against the law to do credit report analyzation. Now, there are people that do. They charge like $75 to $150 just to look at somebody's credit report and tell them what's wrong with it.
Oh, you're saying just to look at it. You're not saying actually like
not be in the program, but
to,
if you wanted to send me a credit report, or Wesley sends us credit reports to look at all the time, we can tell them what's wrong with it. Then we talk to the client, and if they choose to get into our credit repair program, we'll help them out. And we'll discuss it with our clients too. We go line by line, trade line by trade line, what we see and what we can help them out with. If there's a collection on there that is 4 years old, 5 years old, it's just been hanging around like hanging fruit. Depending on the age of the debt, we can actually get that completely removed from their credit report, and they're no longer responsible for it, depending on the age of the debt. In the state of California, and you can Google this as public knowledge, the statute of limitations on a debt from the original furnisher is 4 years. So if I had a late payment on a credit card in, let's see, we're January 2018, and I had a late payment in January 2013, that's 5 years ago. They have no further legal recourse to that money that's still showing up on my credit report from that debt. Now, if they took steps along the way, turned it into a judgment, sent it to an attorney, sent you the paperwork on it, that's a whole different story because now it's a legal judgment. And those are different. But if it's just a collection company that keeps calling you trying to collect money on an old debt, medical's big.
Yes.
A lot of medical.
Yeah, for sure.
Then if they're calling and they're bothering you, we'll talk to people and tell them what to say, because you always want to be polite on the phone. Just say, I understand you're trying to collect a debt, but I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're actually from this company. And always be polite and say, if you want to contact me, you have to do it in writing. Because I'm not giving out any personal information over the phone. Because they're going to ask you for your social. They're going to ask you for your address. And you just simply tell them, I appreciate you asking me, but like I said, I don't know you, and you can just send me everything in the mail. And then they'll ask you for your address. Don't give it to them. We usually just say, if you found my phone number, you can find my address, and we'll correspond via mail. You always want everything in writing. Everything has to be in writing all the time.
Now, regarding the statute of limitations for 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
so
and it's different in every state. This is just California that I'm talking about.
okay,
Yeah.
so we'll just keep it as California.
Yeah.
So, like you said, statute of limitations for 4 years. So, let's say you have this item, on your credit report, right? It's still affecting your credit, right? Because it's there.
Yep.
So, would your company be able to remove that and then?
We have really
Hopefully
good success rate with removing old collections. We have actually really good success rate with even removing newer collections, because based on the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, the bureaus, credit bureaus, which is Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, can only report accurate data on a client. Once the data becomes inaccurate or unverifiable, it has to be removed from the credit report.
So inaccurate could be that it's over 4 years old.
Inaccurate could be the dates are inaccurate, the amounts that they're saying are inaccurate, when they said that it actually went late, how many lates you have, everything.
Okay.
And because it's data driven and data gets corrupt really easily, it is highly likely that we'll get it off.
Okay.
Unless it happened in the last few months. Those are because the data is too current and it really hasn't had enough time for anything to like change hands and change the data. Yeah. Yep. And then let's see, what else are the most asked questions? We talked about, we get a lot of questions about, like I said, medical. There was a time when in the medical industry, a doctor, you go to the doctors, you pay your deductible, $40 deductible, $25. The doctor bills the insurance company pays the doctors, and off you go.
Right.
Whatever balance you have left. But the insurance companies take so long to pay that what was happening was the doctor, after 60 days, sometimes doctors would do it after 90 days, would just send it off to a collection company. Now all of a sudden you have a collection on a medical collection on your credit report. Well, they changed that law, and now doctors have to wait 6 months.
That's great, because I mean, only a few weeks, and all of a sudden you're like, oh.
I know. Well, because what would happen was then the insurance company would come back and pay the doctor, and it's already in collection, so now you're paying.
So they get paid twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. So medical's pretty easy to work with.
Oh, okay.
The hard ones that are to work with is if you have excessive late payments and it's still with the original furnisher of the debt. So say it's Bank of America, because they still own their own data, nothing's changed.
Right.
We do get late payments off. They are hard. They're hard to get late payments off of a credit report. Is it impossible? No. We definitely get them off on a regular basis. It just takes a little bit longer. Another tough one is student loans. Because it's a government-issued loan, it doesn't go away. The statute of limitations doesn't apply to a student loan.
Oh, wow. So none of that 4-year thing doesn't work? No?
Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
How does it work with repossessions? I have a lot of clients that are always asking me about the repossessions.
7 years on your credit report.
Okay.
We are able to get those taken off of a credit report. We can get bankruptcies removed from a credit report, tax liens, judgments. We can get them all removed.
Okay.
It doesn't always relieve you of the debt, though.
Right.
So you may still be liable for the debt based on the time frame that it's in, but at least if it's not reporting on your credit report, your score goes up and you're able to get a better rate. Yeah. You can also negotiate a lot when you have good credit. You can negotiate the interest rates on your credit cards, which a lot of people don't know.
I didn't know that.
Just call. Just call and ask. They're going to run a background to see what your credit score is.
Right.
And if you have a good score, I mean, you can get into you can get a credit card for 7, 9, 12% as opposed to 17, 19, 22,
24.
24. Yep. And there's companies that like Loan Me, and some of those companies. We've had clients that, because they got in a pinch and they needed to get some money in a hurry, they went to like a Loan Me and for $2,500. The interest rate was 139%.
Oh my gosh.
I saw the contract.
Jeez.
139%. And once they paid that debt, it was almost $10,000 on a $2,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now they do good loans. I mean, LoanMe does, you know, regular loans if you have good credit, and it's a good way to go to get fast cash. But based on your credit, you can pay really high interest rates. Really high interest rates. What's another question that's asked by a lot of people? Is anybody like sending any questions? Can you tell that maybe?
Oh yeah, actually, let's touch base on the student loans real quick.
Oh sure.
So you have the student loans. Let's say you are actually making the payments and everything's great like that. Does it still affect your credit score?
Nope, not as long as it's in good standing and it's paid as agreed.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, when we look at a credit report, if a score is low, we will look at how much the balances are, even if they're positive accounts and they're paid as agreed with no lates. Like I said, if it's $1,000 credit card and they owe $1,000, your score is going to go down.
Right, because you're at the max.
You're at the max, yeah. And the way the credit card companies look at it is this person needs money, so that's why they're charging all of. That's where they're charging their credit cards up. Yeah, like we had a client and she goes, "I'm so excited! I have 22 credit cards, and and I'm using 7 of them." Well, that's it. 22 credit cards is fine. But really, you should only be using 2, maybe 3.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to. Okay, I would figure you kind of want to use all of them just to kind of keep.
But if you're carrying a balance, only carrying a balance on 2 or 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
And don't close credit cards, so especially a credit card in good standing. Just leave it. Just tear the credit card up and just forget you have it, but leave it on your credit report because it gives you history and it gives you worthiness, and that you are able to take care of credit cards without owing too much money.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, I just did an analysis on a credit report from a client, and they said, "Why isn't my score going up? Why it was better in November? Why is it went down a little bit like before?" And I said, "Well, it's Christmas, and all your credit cards are way too high right now. So just pay your credit cards."
Oh, you're saying because she used their credit cards.
They use their credit cards, and that's instant. Okay. If you charge a lot on your credit card, your score is instantly going to go down.
Right.
If you pay it off, it's going to instantly go back up. It's a really fast response.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you get a new credit card, if you're establishing credit and you get a new credit card, it takes about 3, maybe 4 months of a payment pattern before your score will start popping up.
Okay, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of people ask about inquiries too. How does an inquiry affect my score?
Yeah.
There's not a set number if you pull a hard inquiry. So if Oliver pulls a credit report on someone, and they've only had their credit score, their credit looked at a couple times during the year, it might affect their score 1 point, maybe 2.
Oh.
If they're shopping around a lot over months, then it could affect their score a lot. So say somebody has a 700 FICO, but they've been shopping, houses, cars, opened a new credit card. Those inquiries could affect it 10, 15, 20 points. Now you're at 680.
Okay.
And an inquiry stays on your credit score, on your credit report for 24 months. The effect of the drop, though, only lasts about 3 to 6 months. And then it's not affected anymore. And they automatically fall off. And they're nearly impossible. In fact, we've never been able to get an inquiry off of a credit report. They're very, very, very difficult. I heard some company one time that said that they charge $1,500 to take inquiries off. It's ridiculous. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Well, I'm glad you were able to tell us about the inquiries because I get clients all the time. Les knows. It's like, I don't know if I want my credit ran because another lender ran it 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if it's going to
It'll
affect my...
Yeah. If it was 2 months ago, it'll affect it. If it's within 30 days, it'll only count as 1. And there's other ways to look at your scores, too. So there's a hard pull, which is a lender or a car company or credit card. And then there's a soft pull. And you can get those through a monitoring company like creditchecktotal.com or LifeLock or Identity Guard. If you're in a monitoring company, they'll give you your score on a regular basis. And it doesn't count as, it's just like looking at a picture of your credit.
Oh, that's great. And and obviously it's updated too. It's
updated. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I have a monitoring company I've been with for like 7 years. Yeah, I use Identity Guard. They send me my credit score once a month and every 3 months, and so I always know. And you can also go, each credit bureau TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian will give you a free credit report every year. So what you can do is say in January, pull an Experian report, and then in April or May, pull a TransUnion report, and then in September, October, pull the Equifax report. So you kind of always know about like what's going on with your score. But not all companies report to all 3 credit bureaus either. So that's why the scores are always so different.
Right.
So one might be 710, one might be 700, and one might be 650.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's a big drop.
It's a big drop. But,
wow.
but the positive credits that you have may only be reporting to 2 bureaus, and you don't have very much reporting to the 3rd one.
So
just depending on what you have, it's just out there.
So would your company be able to kind of
balance it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And we also help people, once we start cleaning up their credit, then all of a sudden they don't really have that much credit anymore because all the bad stuff's gone. So we will help them and guide them like on what would be a good credit card to establish based on their credit score. Because if you have a 780 score or a 650 score, those are 2 different types of credit cards that you're going to be able to get.
650 and 780.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's we have on our website at www.pacificwestcredit.com. There's actually a page that shows the credit cards, and based on your score, what's a good card for you.
That's very useful.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very useful. Yeah. For everybody, it's useful.
Yeah.
So what else? What are some of the other things we had talked about?
Well, so what would you say it's a good score? Because sometimes when you meet, like in our industry, sometimes when you meet someone that wants to buy a house, always tell us, well, my score isn't good. It's like, what do you mean it's not good? Well, I only have a 700, only have a 650, only have a 625, and it's like, actually, it's not a bad score.
It's not a bad score.
Yeah.
No, and it depends on the product that you want. So, Wesley, what would be for a paper on a conventional loan?
Right. So in the mortgage industry, once your credit score is at a 740, that's considered perfect credit for us. So that's a point where you would get the best rate available. There are some products, like when you talk about larger jumbo products and things like that, where you might get rewarded for having greater than the 740. But for conventional or government loans, generally once you get to that 740, you're going to get the best rate available.
Right.
That's great. Right. That's good to know. I didn't know that, Wes. 740. Hear that? 740.
740.
There you go. And if you're not there yet, Kathryn can help you get to your 740.
But there's also products available for loans at a 680.
Right, or 580.
Or
you can
580.
Actually get a FHA loan financed at 580. Conventional, you only need to have the 620. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So you won't get the best rate. So to specifically say what's the best credit score just depends on what you want to do.
Right.
Now for cars, they actually don't mind if you have bad credit because they charge you really high interest rates. They don't like working with credit repair companies at all.
Oh, really?
No. We thought that we would be able to, when we first started 5-6 years ago, we thought, we'll talk to credit card, or to cars, the dealerships, and they weren't interested because
they want to charge
a higher interest. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They love it.
They love it. Yeah, we actually had a client that started out with not great credit, had to have a Harley. His interest rate was 20. I was telling you about this. His interest rate was 24%. He was in our program. Average time in our program is 3 to 6 months. Average.
Oh, okay. That's not
He had a lot though, so he was in for about 9 or 10 months. Okay. Got his credit really cleaned up a lot, and he refinanced his Harley into a 4.9.
Wow.
Saved him hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, for sure.
On his car payment or motorcycle payment. Yeah. So to say what's a perfect score, like I said, for credit cards, you can go on our website and see the different scores that go with the different card, or like for a lender, what Wesley said, and car dealerships, well, it's up to them. Yeah. Let's see what else. I get asked a lot about co-signing. I'm not a big fan of co-signing. It's kind of like...
Not even for your kids.
Yeah, I know. Well, rather give them the gift and then have them pay you back.
Okay.
As opposed to, because once that payment goes delinquent, it's on your credit report for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's still this way, but back when I was in the debt management industry, it was impossible to get a cosigner off your account once they were on there. Is that still the same?
Yes.
Okay.
It basically needs to be paid off And so this happens a lot with divorces. We get people that have been through divorce all the time in our program. And one of the spouses will say, well, he was responsible for those credit cards, or she was responsible for that car payment, and now they're late and it's on my credit and I want to take it off now. Well, it's yours. You were a cosigner on that account.
Oh, geez.
So unless that debt is paid off or moved to another new account, like if it's a credit card, take the debt and move it to your own credit card, and don't worry about that person not paying that card. It's just best to have your own in a situation like that.
All right.
Yeah, because you're going to get hit with it no matter what. Yeah. And as far as credit scores being damaged, there's not really a specific number. So 1 30-day late, I have a friend that was in our program, and she ended up having a 30-day late right when she was buying a house. Luckily, she was able to fix it, and it was an oversight from an automatic payment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which if you forget about those automatic payments, they can be deadly. But her score went from a 750 to a 680, 1 30-day late on a Pier 1 credit card.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just a retail card.
70 points.
Jeez, that's
She
ridiculous.
lost. And it was a difference in her mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't know she could get it off, of $249.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, just the drop
Mm-hmm.
in 70 points. Yeah. Student loan. We had another client that his wife thought her payment was still deferred. They bought their house and then went to do a refi. Her deferment ran out, and she didn't know that it ran out the month before, and started the payments up, but she had 30-day lates on 5 loans.
Oh,
Her
geez.
score went from 750 to 550, 200 points. Yeah,
Wow.
it makes me infuriated that it damages somebody that much,
Mhm.
even on an error.
Right.
And I don't think that it should stay on for 7 years either. I think 7 years is a really long time. People can totally change their life in 7 years.
Oh, for
but
sure,
they're
definitely.
carrying that around with them for
Mhm.
so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What other questions?
Well, okay, so
I mean,
so
I
let's
made
say
some
if you're
notes.
trying to let's see let me actually check and see, does anyone have any questions?
Does anybody have any
Let's
questions on
see.
that? Spouse. Oh, bankruptcies.
Oh yes, bankruptcy, that's a big one.
Bankruptcies. I always say I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, and I can't really talk about somebody like doing a bankruptcy, but we do suggest people to talk to a bankruptcy attorney, because sometimes it's just not in your best interest to do a bankruptcy.
Mhm.
If you can do something, around that, if you can get on a payment schedule, maybe with a debt consolidation company, but even those guys are not always reputable. We had a client in our program, and they were paying their debt consolidation company $600 a month
Mhm.
Mhm.
to pay for some of their debt. The only $450. The consolidation company was keeping just a little under half,
Wow.
45% of the money. So, I'm not necessarily a big fan of that. I would say first to try to clean up your credit to see where you can land, and then I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
And then see about talking to like a consolidation, but I would make sure that they have a license, like an attorney's license or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that it's not just a company that's going to rip you off.
Right. And make sure it's a consolidation, not settlement.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That you're not settling with them by giving them all your money. And they were with them for about a year at
Wow.
$600 a month.
Uh-huh.
So really, that's so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the other caveat, was some of their debt was 5 and 6 years old. So they were actually not even legally responsible for that debt anymore. And they were
Right.
paying it off. So they call us first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that instance, like you said, it was 5 or 6 years old. So they were just paying
Debt consolidation.
they were paying the debt consolidation company, and hopefully out of those funds they were sending them to the creditors.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's already off the creditors' books, right? The 5 or
Right.
6 years.
Yes. Yeah, but as long as
So-
you're making a payment, they're
Don't
going to
take
take
it.
the money.
Right, but I
Oh,
mean, they're not
they'll
gonna,
take the
they're
money.
not like helping. You're like,
Yeah.
it's not like they're going in there like, okay, well, we see you made a payment, we're going to adjust it. It's kind of like, okay, it's
Yeah, exactly.
not gonna ask any questions.
Yep.
Hey, look, we just got another $400 from this person. Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
And I would
wow.
always be leery on anybody that says they're going to do something for free for you, because nothing in this world is free. The money's coming from somewhere.
Right.
So if you're
Don't trust free.
don't trust free, yeah. If you're looking at like a Credit Karma or a free credit report.com, it says free, but somewhere the money is they're gonna get the money back from the service they did for you.
Right.
You gotta look at that fine print.
Yeah, you have to be very careful of free.
Yeah.
There's good deals to be had, but free is usually not the best deal.
Right.
Yeah. So if someone was going to, want to set up somewhere where they can actually monitor their credit, like I know you mentioned identity theft.
Identity Guard
Identity
is
Guard.
good. LifeLock is good. You can get them for different prices. Like Identity Guard, I got mine through Costco. Costco has their own monitoring service, and it's $10 a month.
Oh wow! I mean, most places charge. I see what, like $29.99 or something.
$30 a month.
Yes.
So shop around and see how much they are. Go on the websites. Yeah,
Okay.
you can pull up monitoring services. There's Credit Check Total. That's under the Experian umbrella. I think theirs is $24 a month, and it's a good one. And it's easy to navigate around it. Like I said, I have Identity Guard. Mine's with Costco. If you're a Costco member, just go to the bottom of the page under Services, and it'll give you it'll take you to their site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
You
Yeah.
guys have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Is anybody typing anything? I can't tell. It's too far away.
Yeah, the one with glass is.
Yeah.
Let me take a look, right? As I look on here. Okay, there's just a lot of comments. Just great information. Thank you for everyone that's been tuning in.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. Yeah. So going back to the authorized user, like you said, how you helped your daughter with her credit,
Right.
and you put her on as authorized user. So obviously, I mean, my daughter, she's gonna be 22 months. I'm 7, so we have some time.
Yeah.
But
Time. So I put my
yeah.
daughter on when she was 16. She's now 18. Her credit score is 740.
Awesome. Okay.
But it's the only thing on her credit. She has one credit card on her credit.
Wow.
But it's still, it's
Yeah.
a start. And so when she goes to get a credit card, she'll have a little bit better luck. She might not be able to get a 740 FICO score credit card because she only has one item reporting. But she could get one that's, maybe like a Credit One I always recommend staying away from the credit cards that charge an annual fee, unless you're really getting something worthwhile for it.
Right.
So maybe like a business card or something, a business credit card, maybe something like that.
Well, no, even
Capital One used to
Capital
do it a
One,
lot.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, if it's an annual fee, make sure that the reward is worth the fee.
Yeah.
Like, would you say like in terms of reward, you're talking like,
Well, if you're getting money back,
okay, like airfare? I mean,
airfare.
miles?
Yeah, well,
points,
I
I
have
guess.
Yeah.
Alaska card. It's free. They don't
Okay.
charge any.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's $50, but the reward is greater, much greater.
Okay.
Marriott, there's Marriott card. They don't charge anything from Chase Marriott, and you can accumulate points just to have overnight stays and stuff, which is kind of fun. Yeah, there's if it's a fee and you're not getting anything back, there's also credit cards you have to be careful of. This happened to a friend of mine too. That I can't remember the name of the credit card. I keep wanting to say Credit One, but they charge you a monthly fee.
Wow.
$7, which isn't a lot.
I know, but
But if
still.
you forget, and then all of a sudden you end up with a balance on it, and you think it's paid off, they still charge you.
Right.
Well, right, because you're being charged at $7, so
Yes.
technically it's like you're,
Yeah. And
Wow.
and also with credit scores and building your score, it should be a variety of different types of credit cards. If you have like a gas card, or which a lot of people don't even use those anymore, but a gas card, a department store card,
Mhm.
and then like a Visa MasterCard.
Right.
So it should be like a variety.
That's good to know, because I mean, I didn't know that. I just figured, okay, well, you
Yeah.
just have 3 or 4 different credit cards, that should
Yeah.
be fine, but
Yeah.
in terms of having a department store card,
Because
a gas card.
their algorithm is different on their scoring. So Kohl's is a pretty easy card to start out with, or Sears is usually easier to get. Home Depot's kind of hard. Lowe's is a difficult one. Macy's is fairly easy to get.
Okay.
Nordstrom is a little harder to get. I don't know about hardly ever see like Bloomingdale's or anything like that, so I'm not
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd imagine they're hard to get.
I would say.
Nordstrom is.
Probably they're probably all around the same. Yeah. But I mean, if it's a Kohl's card or Sears or a Home Depot, those are a great department store card to have.
Oh, okay.
Best Buy is usually fairly easy to get, and they're free, and they don't give you a big limit, maybe $300 to start with. But if you take care of it, they'll raise your limit. Oh, also, I know another question people ask is sometimes a credit card company will just automatically raise your interest rate. So there is a new act, it's called the Credit Card Act, that they can't be, if you have a late, they can't automatically raise your interest rate. They have to give you advance notice. You have to have at least 45 days notice to either pay it or move the balance to a different card. And after that, then they can raise your interest if you've had a late payment. Or I don't think they can randomly just raise interest rates anymore.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I'm like, do they just raise them? And it's kind of like, oh, okay.
No, because you've got that protection now, the Credit Card Act.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which you can look up on Google also.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of great information. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I could go on for so long. I have to control myself. My husband says I talk too much.
So they won't talk.
I just think people should know. I just think people should know this stuff to protect themselves. Yeah,
especially with those late payments, because I mean, all my payments are all set up automatically. So I mean, I definitely got to keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye on it, especially if for a car, like your last car payment, if you have automatic payment, mine's automatically paid, and we just had a client that her last Toyota payment wasn't the same amount as her previous payment.
Oh, right. So then he knocks it off.
It didn't make the payment because it wasn't pulling the contracted dollar amount.
Wow.
She ended up with a 30-day late. Yeah, she was able to fix it.
Oh, okay.
But still, if she didn't know and that 30-day late sat there for months and months, and then all of a sudden she saw it, then it's harder. It's harder to get removed after that. If you catch it right away, you can usually get it taken care of. And don't take no for an answer. If you call to dispute something, what happens is people say, oh, I called and they said, no, they can't help me. I'm like, call them back. We don't get all results with one letter that we send out to the bureaus. Call back, call back, call back. It could take 4, 5, or 6 phone calls. Ask for the dispute department. Ask for a manager. Just somebody that's going to listen to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just let them know what happened. It was an automatic payment. You didn't take the last payment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because they do have an ability to look in your
they do, but
like,
they'll say,
wait, you've been making payments all this time. Okay, so maybe she's
was her only late.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, it just takes you the effort to actually do it as opposed to,
her score dropped 40 points.
Right.
Jeez.
40 points.
But unfortunately, a lot of times when you call in, the people that answer, the customer service people, they're just worker bees and they're trained to follow a script and they don't really have any decision-making capabilities. So that's why I've always found it useful to always try to escalate.
Yes.
Escalate.
Yeah, be proactive with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you do have a 30-day late, the most damage on a credit report with your score is in the first 24 months.
Yeah.
It slowly diminishes in the amount that you're being dinged.
Right.
But if it does go to a 60 or 90, 90-day late can affect your score like a bankruptcy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't let them go that far.
Yeah.
But what can happen too, you've probably seen, Wesley, is somebody will get behind on a house payment and then they get caught up and they think they're caught up, but they're actually rolling 30 days late each month because that 1 month was still not taken care of. Yeah, that happens a lot. Somebody will have 23 30-day lates. What? How could I have 23 30-day lates? I make my payment every month. But they were late one time.
Yeah, or
and
the late fee. Rolled. You didn't cover the late fee and the late fee keeps rolling.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez.
So that's about covers how credit works.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably more. I could probably go on for a couple of hours. And our clients, if they have any questions, in fact, I talk to anybody anytime they want to talk to me about credit. They don't even have to be in our program. I'll answer questions or help them out or look at their credit reports, see what's going on. Yeah. Oh, and something funny too is we were helping one gal, and she had not great credit. It was maybe in the low 6s, but she had 3 credit scores. And then once we started getting all the negative stuff off, one of her scores went away. Because she didn't have any credit left on it.
I didn't know that was possible.
It was only negative. The only score she was getting was from history.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So once those accounts were gone, so then we helped her get a credit card. Now she's like 740, 750.
Okay.
They all went right back up. Yeah. Time in the program, I think I mentioned 3 to 6 months. Sometimes we can get somebody in and out in a couple months.
Okay.
Sometimes it might take a year. I mean, I hate to say it, and we don't really tell people it's going to take a year because that's really daunting. But we are honest with them, and we do tell them, if you've got 30 negative items on your credit report,
that can be done tomorrow.
It's not going to be done right away.
Right.
Yeah. And we let them know along the way.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to take a little longer. Sorry.
Yeah.
And anybody can cancel at any time. I mean, you can go to the program, and 2 months later, if you want to cancel, cancel. There's no like fee or anything like that to do it. You just cancel the account.
Oh wow! I mean, it's good to know.
Anytime.
A lot of people always are fearful. It's like, gotta sign a dotted line.
Yeah.
Signing my life away.
Or commit yourself to a certain amount of time. Then there are credit repair companies that do that.
Of course.
We don't
yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, we don't work that way.
Because they fill their time. It's like, hey.
Yeah. Or they signed a contract.
Right.
No. Ours is completely flexible. It's month to month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and I'll just say this from my experience with the clients I've had to work through your program. One of the best things that you guys have going that a lot of programs don't is that the follow-up process is automated. You know what I mean? Even with the person, so like even if I send them someone, I'm getting notified of the progress as well.
Right.
And that's one of the hard parts about going through a credit restoration program is because it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Right.
Right. So it could be 4 months and you think they're working on stuff and they're just like, hey, we'll let you know when we hear something. And 4 months later you check in like, oh yeah, we haven't done anything yet, but we needed something signed. And
it's fell by the wayside. They'll get to it when they get to it.
Yeah. And that's actually something that our company offers that some of the other ones don't is each one of our clients, if you're a couple, you each have 2, but you get your own portal. So like if we were married, you would have your own account and your own portal with all of your information. I have my own account and my own portal with all my information. You can go into there, you get a username and password. It's encrypted higher than what the credit bureaus are. So it's very, very safe.
That's great.
And you could go in there every day, 10 times a day, or never. We have clients that never ever look at it, but the information's there. Everything that we've done on your account is there. The accounts are monitored throughout the day, like 3 to 4 times a day, to make sure that everything is like somebody didn't try with a username that wasn't right, or somebody tried against the accounts. And then our processors will send out reminders like, okay, we sent out letters for you 3 weeks ago. Be on the lookout. You should start getting some responses from the credit bureaus.
Right.
And if we haven't gotten anything, then we'll say, hey, we're requesting the updated reports. And then once you get the report, you send it to us. I can do a complete reconcile on the account, and your next round of letters goes out based on what has not been deleted yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love the systems. I love the systems. I love how it's all connected.
It's a lot. It's really a lot. And I got into it, or we got into it because I have a real estate license. My husband used to be a lender, and there were so many people that needed help. And we were helping them, but we couldn't fully help them. Like legitimately help them. So we started this business, and like I said, we're registered under the Department of Justice. So what we do is legal. That's why the lenders like working with us, and we're on their preferred vendor list, is because they know that we're not going to do something to their client that's illegal. There is illegal things. We don't add false trade lines, which is a big thing, and you can get in big trouble for that. We don't add a car, just a false trade line of a car or a RV or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. There's some shady.
There's some
shady individuals,
and it comes back. It really does. Maybe not every single solitary one, but I'd say 90%.
Right.
There's some ramification that comes about from that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No questions yet? Just thank yous. I love talking, so. And again, my company is Pacific West Credit. You can just go online. Phone numbers and everything are on there. Look
Okay.
at the website.
So just PacificWestCredit.com.
PacificWestCredit.com.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my name's Kathryn. My partner, my husband is Dean. We work together, and yeah, between the two of us, nobody else looks at your credit reports. That's something that a lot of people ask too. Who's seeing my stuff? Just him and I. I do all the processing of the information. I do have processors though that upload and do all that because that's so time consuming. But we're the only ones that see the personal information.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
And I lock it into their portals and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys got some great information
I
on
hope-
this.
yeah, I
know
hope
I
this
did. 'Cause, yeah. Got a whole list of notes here. So
Yeah.
so it's great. And yeah, thank you, Kathryn, for
Thank you so
taking
much.
time out of your busy day
Thank
to
you.
be with Wes and I and
Yep.
share some good information about credit.
Good.
You know?
Good.
Yeah, because I mean, the reason why Wes and I, do these Facebook videos is because we want to provide value. We want to
Yes.
provide information about what can actually help you. I mean, we're not here saying, like, hey, we're the best in the world. You need to hire Wes. He's the greatest one. You need to hire me because I'm the great realtor. And we're going to do another episode on how great we are. So, like, we are great. Don't get me wrong. We're a great team. Batman and Robin, Kobe and Shaq, whatever. But I just want you guys to know that these Facebook Live videos are designed to provide value to you. Okay? So if you guys have ever any questions about, hey, can you guys do a topic on this or that? Feel free to comment here or send me a message or send Wes a message, and we would love to do that because, like I said, we're going to be doing this. Every Friday we're going to be doing these Facebook Lives. So if you guys have any topics that you want us to address, feel free to do it because we're always happy to provide information. So
Very good.
yes.
Very good. And you have to start with credit to begin with, or you can't buy a house. So.
And that is why that was the very first Facebook Live in 2018. It's credit.
There you go.
Exactly.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Well, are you guys gonna finish? I can.
Oh yeah. Just sign
Or
off.
does anybody have any questions or anything like that? Or
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. I think she's too good at her job.
sorry.
Well, it's always good. I prefer to have as much information as possible, as opposed to leaving things out. It's always good. So, yeah.
It's gonna be a good year for real estate too.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
Interest rates are basically staying the same from what I heard. I was at a meeting this morning. They talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We may see a slight increase, but because the Fed is expected to raise the rate a couple times this year.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not going to be anything catastrophic to where we're all of a sudden at 5.5%.
Right.
Right.
It'll still be historically low.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I remember the first house I bought back in 1990 or something. My interest rate was like 13.
Oh.
13.
Yeah.
And I got it lowered to 11. I was like, yes, this is so awesome.
Right.
Now it's 3.5, 4.5.
Man. And people are losing their minds about it.
Right.
Yeah, I know. And if it goes up a tiny bit, they're like, oh my
Why is the rate so high? It's 4.8.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Very good. What area do you work in?
Mostly North Orange County, Orange, Villa Park, Placentia, Anaheim Hills, Yorba Linda,
Oh, very good.
Fullerton, Anaheim, obviously.
Yeah. This is really nice here.
Yes.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for
It
coming
was
out.
very nice hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be coming back to the chamber.
Yeah.
So I'll see you at the meetings.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah. And
Well, I'll
probably
make
see
sure
you
to send my
Friday.
clients your way. So,
Absolutely.
yes, definitely.
Yep. And it's free.
Yes.
So look at their report. There's no charge.
You hear that? It's free to look at your report,
And
no
we
charge.
And we don't judge.
And they don't
Anybody,
judge.
Ever.
Don't judge anybody. Yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Have a good day. Just want to go down the list here. Just want to start at the top to thank everyone that's been tuning in. Can I get all the way up the list? It kind of goes a little gray there. Let's see. So let's see who I can see here. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Rocio. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Bryna. I love you. John Walker. Thank you, Zonia. Thank you, Lourdes. Thank you, Maxine. Thank you, Lona. Thank you, Griselda. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Bert. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, John. Thank you, Molly. Thank everyone who's tuned in. And stay tuned for next Friday. We don't have the topic yet, but we will. But like I said, if you guys have any topics in mind you want us to do, comment here or direct message me or direct message Wes. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next Friday. Have a great weekend. And hope you guys have a rockin' 2018. Hope you guys started your week off on the very first week of 2018. All right. Talk to you guys later.